There comes a point in life, not marked by a birthday or an anniversary, when everything around you quiets. The house, the calendar, even the phone. And in that stillness, something stirs. It's not sadness, not quite. It's a feeling you can't quite name, like standing in a familiar room and realizing the furniture has shifted. Something has changed, but slowly. So slowly you can't say when. You look at your life, at all you've lived, all you've overcome. And on the surface, it seems whole. You've done your part. You've raised children, helped others. You've given, let go, started again. And now you're here, in the part of life people like to call golden. But inside, something feels unsteady, not broken, just different, less colorful. You wake up and go through the motions. Make your coffee, check the news, answer a message or two, but something in your chest feels a little heavier. Something in your thoughts doesn't move as freely as it once did. And you wonder, is this just aging? Or is something else happening here? The truth is, after 70, many people fall into quiet emotional patterns they never expected. Not depression, not illness, just a shift in how life feels. A soft retreat, a subtle flattening, a trap that doesn't look like danger, but slowly steals joy, presence, and connection. That's what this video is about. We'll walk through 5 emotional patterns that quietly appear after 70, and how to recognize them before they take hold. Because these patterns aren't your fault. They don't mean you're doing something wrong. But when they go unnamed, they become part of the background. They settle in like old wallpaper and convince you this is just how it is now. And that's not true. You are still here, still growing, still needed. And the emotions you feel now deserve just as much care as they did at 40 or 50. So today, we'll gently name 5 traps, patterns that may sound familiar. And for each one, we'll look at how it begins, what it does to the heart, and most importantly, how to walk out of it. We'll begin with the one that shows up in the pauses, in the silences, in the slow erosion of being seen, the feeling that perhaps you don't matter as much as you once did. You notice it in the smallest ways. The way people talk past you at the dinner table, the way your opinion is met with polite nods, but rarely remembered. You go to the doctor and they look at your daughter when they speak. You answer a question and the conversation moves on before your sentence is finished. And at first, you don't think much of it. You tell yourself it's fine. You've never needed to be the loudest in the room. You've always valued humility. You've always believed in letting others shine. But little by little, something inside you begins to tighten. It's not anger, not quite. More like something important is slipping through your fingers. Like you're becoming a character in the background of your own life. And that feeling, subtle, invisible to others, starts to shape how you move through the day. You stop offering your stories. You hesitate before speaking. You begin to believe that maybe what you have to say isn't needed anymore. And that's where the emotional trap takes root. This is the first pattern, the slow, quiet belief that your voice doesn't matter, that you're no longer relevant, that you've entered the phase of life where you're supposed to step aside, observe, and stay small. And the more you buy into that idea, the more you shrink. Not physically, but emotionally. You let decisions happen without you. You let relationships drift because you don't want to be a bother. You start to think, maybe this is just how it goes. Maybe this is the price of aging. But that belief isn't truth. It's silence that's been misunderstood. You haven't lost your place in the world. You've only started to believe that no one's waiting for you to step back in. And here's the shift. You can return. You can take up space again. That might look like telling your story, even if no one asks. It might mean gently correcting someone who speaks for you. It might mean starting a sentence with, "I'd like to add something here." It doesn't require volume. It requires presence. Because when you speak with the steady voice of someone who has lived deeply, people listen, even if they've forgotten how to. Your words matter. Your memories matter. Your opinions, questions, and preferences are not leftovers. They are still central to your experience of life. The emotional trap of irrelevance is powerful because it asks for nothing. It just hopes you'll stay quiet. But quiet doesn't mean invisible. And you are not invisible. You never were. The next emotional pattern doesn't begin in the voice. It begins in the way you say yes. Even when you mean no. in the way you smooth the edges, keep the peace, and put your own comfort last. You've always been the one who made things easier for others. The one who said yes, even when you were tired. The one who smiled instead of correcting. The one who offered help before it was asked for. And for a long time, that gave you purpose. It felt good to be needed, to be the strong one. But something has shifted. You still say yes, but now it feels heavier. You go along with things not because you want to, but because it's what's expected. You listen, but no one asks how you're doing. You offer, but no one offers back. And over time, that quiet imbalance begins to wear on you. Not in a loud way. It's not resentment that comes out in words. It's something deeper, a kind of inner fatigue, a dull ache that builds when you keep giving from a cup that no one helps refill. This is the second emotional trap, the role of the selfless one taken so far. It becomes self-erasure. It sounds noble on the surface, being patient, being flexible, being low maintenance. But inside, you begin to disappear. Not out of spite, not out of shame, out of habit, out of years spent meeting other people's needs before your own. And now, the needs haven't stopped, but the energy has. You notice that you're quicker to tire, slower to recover, more emotionally fragile than you used to be. And still you smile. Still you say, of course, no problem. Even when every part of you wants to say, not today. You may tell yourself you're being kind. But here's what kindness also includes: boundaries. Kindness isn't about being endlessly available. It's about being honest, present, and willing to care, including for yourself. And you are allowed to change. You are allowed to say, I can't today. You're allowed to ask for help, to say no, to take time, to rest. Not because you've earned it, but because you're human. Your worth is not measured by how many people you please. It's reflected in how gently you treat your own needs, your own rhythms, your own body's voice. If the idea of saying no feels uncomfortable, start with something small. Dele a favor. Ask for space. Speak the words, I need to think about that first. These aren't rejections. They are reminders to yourself and others that your time, energy, and well-being still matter. And when you start showing that to others, they will begin to believe it too. The trap isn't in generosity. It's in forgetting that you're still someone who also deserves to receive. In the next section, we'll explore a pattern that doesn't show up in words or actions. It lives in the space between them, in the stillness that feels too long, the emptiness that doesn't hurt but doesn't feel like living either. It's hard to explain, because on paper, nothing's wrong. The fridge is stocked. Your blood work came back okay. The house is quiet, but not lonely. You've got your favorite chair, your routine, a book or two, but inside something feels gray, not painful, just distant. You move through your day like someone pressing buttons, coffee, dishes, check the mail. And though nothing is upsetting you, nothing is really touching you either. This is the third emotional trap, emotional numbness. A quiet withdrawal from the joy of participation. Not because life is bad, but because life feels muted. You're still here, still moving, still functioning. But you're not really engaged. You used to be curious. You used to have moments of wonder. You used to feel laughter not just in your mouth, but in your ribs. And now, it's more like observation. Watching, noting, enduring. This kind of emotional quiet often sets in slowly. It doesn't come from a single loss or trauma. It comes from repetition, from years of sameness, from days that blend, and from a deep, unspoken belief that maybe the best of life has already happened. So now you wait, not unhappily, but not eagerly either. You stop reaching, you stop asking, you stop imagining. And though you would never say you've given up, something in you has stopped expecting anything more. But here's the thing, emotional numbness is not a dead end. It's a sign that something inside you needs waking up. And the antidote isn't drama. It's novelty, not big change, just small, meaningful interruption. Sit in a different chair, drive a new route, visit a park you've never walked through, cook something unfamiliar, watch a documentary on a subject you know nothing about, write a sentence that starts with, I wonder. The brain, even at 75 or 85, responds to freshness. The soul responds to attention. You haven't run out of feelings. You just gone too long without invitation. Life didn't stop offering them. You just stopped hearing them. And that's not failure. That's fatigue. That's self-protection. That's what happens when no one expects much from you, and you start to match their expectation. But you can shift that. You can surprise yourself. You can step off the familiar path for 1 hour, one morning, one moment, and feel that spark again. Because you haven't lost your capacity for joy. You've just forgotten how to tap on its door. The next trap we'll explore is different. It doesn't flatten you, it weighs on you. It arrives not as stillness, but as memory, and not the kind that warms you. The kind that whispers, you should have done things differently. Some memories don't hurt at first. They arrive gently. An old photo, a familiar song, the sight of someone who walks like someone you once knew. But then the thought slips in, why didn't I do it differently? And suddenly, you're no longer remembering, you're rewriting, replaying, regretting. That's the fourth emotional trap, the weight of quiet regret. The kind that builds not from one mistake, but from years of what-ifs. You think about the conversations you never had, the forgiveness you didn't offer, the risks you talked yourself out of, the version of yourself you didn't let become real. And though you know the past can't be changed, the thoughts don't stop. They become part of your daily background noise. You smile when others are around. You manage your errands, take your vitamins, fold your laundry. But inside, there's a heaviness. And it's not about sadness. It's about unfinishedness, about things that feel unresolved and now unreachable. You might not say it aloud. You might not even recognize it as regret. But you feel in how often you replay certain moments, in how quickly you dismiss compliments, in how much harder it is to feel fully joyful without a voice in the back of your mind saying, too late. But here's what regret misunderstands, that just because something is behind you, it no longer has value. That's not true. The past isn't just a closed book, it's a foundation, a teacher, a compass. And while you may not be able to rewrite a chapter, you can absolutely decide what comes next. You can pick up the thread of old dreams and turn them into new forms. You can speak apologies out loud, even to the air. You can offer the kind of kindness now that you once withheld, and it still counts. You can turn the lessons of regret into fuel for connection. One phone call, one open sentence, one moment of saying, I've carried this long enough. Now I want to live differently. Forgiveness is not about forgetting what you did or didn't do. It's about releasing the belief that you must keep paying for it. It's about honoring who you were then and honoring who you are now, who still longs to live without the burden. Regret only becomes dangerous when we let it define us. But it doesn't have to. It can become a reminder that you're still here, that you still care, that your heart hasn't given up. And that alone is proof that you have more living to do. The final emotional trap we'll explore is one many people carry without realizing it. It's not about pain, but about perception. It's the quiet belief that your story is complete, that you're simply here to finish, not to begin again. No one says it out loud, but it settles in, that quiet idea that you've had your big moments, that your purpose has already been fulfilled, that the stories now belong to other people. You still participate, of course. You share in holidays, listen to updates, offer advice when asked. But inside, there's a soft withdrawal. Not from people, from expectation. The sense that your becoming is over. That your future is mostly management, not discovery. This is the fifth emotional trap, believing your story is already complete. You may not feel sad. In fact, some days might feel peaceful. But deep down, something's dimmed. You don't dream like you used to. You don't wonder what else is possible. You don't picture yourself in new places, doing new things, meeting new people. Because some part of you believes that becoming new again is no longer an option. It's not a dramatic belief. It's quiet, reasonable, cultural. It's the idea that once you hit a certain age, you shift from main character to background, from builder to observer, from participant to audience. But here's the thing, that belief is a lie. One we hear so often, we forget to question it. And when you do question it, everything opens. You realize your story isn't over. It's just shifting chapters. And some of the most beautiful ones are still unwritten. The brain still responds to novelty. The body still responds to purpose. The heart still responds to connection. You haven't outlived wonder, or risk, or meaning. You're allowed to start again. Learn something from scratch. Fall in love, platonically, romantically, with life itself. You're allowed to try and fail and try again. You're allowed to feel foolish, curious, young in spirit. You're allowed to want something new, not because you're lost, but because you're still alive. And the moment you say yes to even one small new thing, the story begins again. A new page, a new pace, a new plot. Aging doesn't mean you've been shelved. It means you now carry a library with you, and you still get to choose what the next chapter holds. And if no one told you that lately, let this be the moment. You're not done. Not even close. If any of these emotional patterns felt familiar to you, know that you're not broken. You're simply human. You've lived. You've adapted. You've loved. And like all of us, you've learned to protect your heart from disappointment. But you're also allowed to open it again. Carefully, slowly, boldly, in a way that feels like coming home. These traps are not forever. They're just places we pass through. And now that you've named them, you can begin to walk out of them. One breath, one boundary, one moment of curiosity, one yes, one no, one rediscovery of your voice, your joy, your place in the world, not as someone watching from the sidelines, but as someone still very much in the game. Thank you for being here. If this video spoke to you, leave a comment and share what part felt real. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and most of all, come back next time, because you're not done growing. You're just getting started.